it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Bramble Fox, and I'm working with lots of the new Halloween goodies, which is really exciting for me. It's my favourite theme to scrap. I love Halloween and all the colours and fun things, so I've pulled out lots of new products. Starting with the Halloween charms. These are a gorgeous new product, really dimensional. I love the way they look, so I'm going to use some of those. I'm using the Happy Haunting title, which comes from the Happy Haunting set. You get 2 titles in that set. You get this gorgeous orange one, which is perfect for things like pumpkins, gorgeous colour match there. And you also get a black title as well that's got a spider's web pattern etched into it. So 2 titles in that set. I'm also using paper snips number 12, and you can see here I've already cut a few bits out from that. So that pumpkin with the little pussycat in it, and the little banner at the bottom there that says "Boo to you," and also that little circular pumpkin piece you see above my title. That is a paper snip, and I've used a 1-inch punch to cut that out. And then you can just see on the left of the screen there the epoxy stickers. These are fantastic. I love these, so much fun and really easy to use as well. So I've used a 1-inch punch to cut that circular piece out from the paper snips, and then you just simply stick the epoxy sticker on top and it gives you an epoxy flare. But if you don't have a hole punch, you can just cut them out with scissors, snip them as the name suggests, and then just trim off any excess once you've got your epoxy sticker on. So really fab product there, and I'm going to use one of those as well. So as you saw there at the beginning, I've got a circular photo. It's about 3.5 inches, maybe a little bit more in diameter. And I've placed that in the centre of my page, or just off centre, and I'm going to have my title down to the bottom left corner of that. So I kind of pieced everything together where I wanted it. I've drawn around my photo, and then with a ruler I've drawn some lines coming out from the centre of that circle behind my photo and coming out at various lengths. So I'm alternating between a short line and a long line, and then with a needle here I'm just piercing a hole at the very tip of each of those lines. I've got some craft foam under my cardstock there just to help. It makes it so easy for the needle to just pierce through them. And the idea is, in a minute I'm going to rub out those lines and use those holes that I've pierced as my guide, and I'm going to thread some embroidery floss through those. So I'm going to come up through the back of the page with the floss. I'm going to thread some sequins onto the floss and then go back down the centre where all the lines meet. So that's hidden, the messy part is hidden behind my photo. So I'm just rubbing my lines out here. I had to use one of my son's pencils because I can't find a rubber to save my life. I did have a brand new, really nice, pure white rubber to use for scrapbooking so that it didn't leave smears all over my cardstocks, and it's magically vanished from my desk. I don't know whether the husband or the boy is to blame, but certainly one of them has stolen my rubber. So I'm using one of the rubbers on the end of my son's pencil here, and as you see it just fell off. Nobody tell him. So yeah, that one is no more. But yeah, so I've rubbed those lines out and I'm going to thread sequins onto thread. Now I've made my own sequin mix up here, pulling sequins from various Spiegelmom Scraps mixes. So I've pulled out oranges, blacks, silvers, whites, greys, anything Halloweeny coloured that matched the kind of orange and black theme I was going for on this page. So I'm coming up through the back, threading loads of different sequins on, sort of varying the sizes and the colours, and then going back down the middle. And you'll see in a minute, I'm going to skip through because this was a labour of love. It took me a while. I started it one evening and then I finished it the following morning, like Saturday morning. Just sat in front of the telly with my little boy whilst he played and got this finished. So it did take me probably maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to sort all the sequins out and to get them threaded on. But I think it was well worth the effort because I absolutely adore how it turns out in the end. Loads of sparkle, and I just love the kind of starburst design. I love starburst and anything sort of like that. I think it's Fox Cut number 17 is the stencil. It's my favourite one with that starburst pattern. And I had that on my desk at the time I sat down to make this layout, and it was kind of inspired by that stencil with the starburst design on it. And I thought, actually, rather than stenciling starburst ink design on it, I'm going to go for the stitching instead. And I have done this once or twice before. but not quite as heavily embellished as this one. I think I did it for Spiegelmum Scraps once, and I just had a few lines with sequins on, but I have done sequins on every line of thread you'll see in a minute. So yeah, labour of love, but I do love how it turns out. And here we go. So I've skipped through any footage that was left, but I just absolutely adore how this looks. And I've not bothered about rubbing those pencil lines out in the middle because they're going to be covered by my photo. And I'm just pushing the sequins out a little bit so that I don't lose any of them behind the photo. I've backed my photo onto white cardstock just to give it a nice border and to give it a bit of separation. And now I'm just adding a layer of patterned paper around the edge because I felt like I needed something dark around the edge of the photo. And had I thought about it before adding all my thread, I probably would have added a little bit of black mixed media, nothing drastic or heavy. I'd have probably used a distress ink and a sponge or some cling film and kind of dabbed it on just around the edge of the photo where it was going to show. But once I'd threaded it, it was a bit late to do that because then all my thread is going to soak up that ink and my gorgeous white and orange threads would be black and grey, and I just didn't want to get it messy and regret it and then have to sit there threading all those sequins again. So instead of the ink, I've just added a dark layer of patterned paper, and I love the kind of the pop that gives against the background. And then I can go about getting everything else brought back in and stuck in place now. So there we go with that epoxy flare. You saw how quick that was just to add the sticker on top. I punched it out with a 1-inch punch, so it was the perfect size. But I just love the shine that gives those paper snips and a little bit of dimension, kind of domed. Not quite as sort of thick and dimensional as your standard sort of metallic flare. So they're perfect if you don't like too much dimension on your layouts. But I just love the shine it gives things. And you could use those for anything. You don't have to use them for just paper snips. If you've got a bit of pattern paper that you like and you want to turn it into an epoxy flare, you can buy those flare stickers from the Bramble Fox shop. And I just love the way they look on a layout. And I'm going to have that sitting just above my title there. I've pulled in a few embellishments, nothing major, because I kind of wanted the products from Bramble Fox and those sequins to really be the star of the show, but I felt like I wanted just a few bits of sort of die cuts and embellishment. So I've pulled out some bits from the Simple Stories Simple Vintage October 31st collection, I think it's called, just a couple of tabs. I've got an orange one on the right and a black one over on the left. And that piece of patterned paper I used behind my photo was from the same collection. But everything else on the page is pretty much Bramble Fox. It's definitely a Bramble Fox layout. So I'm going to get those pieces, those die cuts, stuck down with some foam behind them because I've got foam behind my photo. My title, my perspective title, I've stuck down with glossy accents. That is my go-to adhesive for my perspectives. And I'm also going to use glossy accents for those little Halloween charms as well because it's got super strong hold. So there's no way they're going to pop off anytime soon. I'm not going to find them in my page protectors at the bottom of my album or anything. And then whilst I've got the glossy accents out, I end up using that for my paper snips as well as some little foam pads just where they're sitting sort of half on the photo and half on the background. I need them to sit flush. So I'm adding some foam behind those. And then I've got that Boo to You at the bottom there I've added underneath my title. I've raised that up on foam. But because I've got that epoxy flare with that kind of greenish colour behind it, I felt like I needed something else with the green on the other side of the page. So I've snipped off another bit of the paper snips that says Spooky Fun, which works really well with this layout. It's a photo of my little boy. We had an at-home Halloween photo shoot and I set up my photo background and hung loads of bits. I've got some bats and some skeletons and spiders' webs and stuff. And then he had all our pumpkins and things around him. So definitely having some spooky fun. And then I just finished the layout off with a couple of chipboard bats from the Simple Stories collection. I just love that little cat on a broomstick. I've just put at the top of my photo. I just think it is so cute. There's a couple of those in the set which I really love. They'll definitely be using that other one soon. But that's me done for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the layout. If you love Bramble Fox products as much as me, please do consider leaving a review either on Facebook on the Bramble Fox page or a Google review if you've got access. It always goes a long way and helps other customers to know how fantastic the products are, and it helps Morag and Nicola out a ton as well, obviously. So if you can leave a review, please do. It will go a long way, and it'd be really appreciated. But thanks for joining me today. I hope you've had fun, and I shall see you next time.